Welcome to another episode of Wake Up to Your Life. I am your host, Colleen Odegaard. Coming up in this episode of Wake Up to Your Life, I'm going to be talking about some things that are very personal to me that I know you're interested in because you're asking me gazillions of questions on my Instagram. And normally I hate when people say, everyone's asking me, because normally I think that means two people are asking you. But I do know there has been interest in some things that I've gone through recently in my personal life, and I always historically talked about those things on the Wake Up to Your Life podcast in its past incarnation. So I will do that here too. That is coming up. But I'm talking about how to get over holding a grudge. Are you a grudge holder? Are you angry? Are you good at being really pissed off and hanging on to it and recalling all the details of said offense and getting angry again as if it just happened to you? You're my people. God, I've been so good at doing that. Producer Colleen is nodding her head like she's good at it too. So I'm going to talk about how you can really put that down, because really it's not what's best for you or the people around you. So I'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce you to our guest today. She's a woman I've known for many years. I've worked with her on Charlotte Today. That's how I first met her. She would come on our show and cook. She's a chef and so much more. This is Andria Gaskins. Andria is the founder of Restored Widow. And Andria, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted you to come on the show and talk because I think you have so much to teach people about grief and healing. Doesn't this sound like a good time? We're talking about grief. But
Yes.
If anyone can make it interesting and fun, it's you, Andria. I know that. But and we joke because I know that I can joke around with you. It doesn't sound like a fun topic, but the truth is every single one of us has experienced loss or will do so. And how do we move forward through it? And Andria, you lost your husband, Scott, your beloved husband, Scott, 5 years ago. And I know how in love you were with him. You had such a great, strong marriage, and you were not expecting his death. And talk about, the aftermath of his death, how the challenges you faced each day.
Well, give a little background. Scott and I were together from 20 to 50. And so we were together my entire adult life. And so to have him pass away unexpectedly, I wasn't prepared. We had these plans. It was too soon, too quick, and then it was just over. So I like a lot of people, when that happens, you're shocked and you're stunned and you don't know what to do. But then as time went on, I just knew that I could not feel like this for the rest of my life. Like I felt like I wanted to just fall into the pit that had opened up in my life, and if I could fall into that, then I could be with him again. But then I have these kids, and so I just knew I could not feel this bad for the rest of my life. I just couldn't do it, and it wasn't even little by little. It was just second by second, and little things kept popping up that were just leading me in the direction. Like I don't know why I was in Hobby Lobby. I never go to Hobby Lobby, but I was there on a particular day. I think it was like 2 months after Scott passed away. And I came across this ornament. It was a cross with all these roses, and it said, "She's clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of her future." Mm-hmm. And I was the opposite of that. And so I just kept staring at that ornament, kept staring at it, and I just envied her, and I just started crying in the store. But I bought it anyway, even though the ornament made me feel bad. And I just stuck it on my wall. And I just wanted to be her, but I didn't know how. And so just, like I said, second by second, I just kept doing stuff to get closer to being her. Because I missed my husband desperately, because he helped me become a grown-up. And now I would have to be a grown-up by myself and figure everything out on my own.
And see, Andria, I think that, your message of moving forward step by step can apply to anyone going through a loss. It doesn't have to be the loss of a partner. It can be, whatever it is that you're grieving. So you said, you didn't want to feel like that anymore. You didn't want to feel so bad anymore. You wanted to be able to look at your future and laugh again and experience moments of happiness again. You tried a lot of grief support groups. You said those didn't always work for you.
No, grief support worked in terms of helping me recognize that what I was going through was quote unquote normal and natural in grief. But that was it. It didn't tell me how to do anything extra. Like, and I'm not talking about paying the bills or anything like that. I already knew how to do that, but how to envision a life that's going from we to me, and I had no clue how to do that. And so I would just figure it out. Like the first thing I did, and it wasn't even a plan, it just happened, I guess a couple days after my husband passed away, I moved his soap from our bathroom off his sink and put a plant there. Because the idea of watching my soap go down and his wasn't moving, it just didn't seem right, and it didn't seem like it would be helpful. And it wasn't that I was trying to get over it, I was just trying to get through it the best way that I could. And I knew he wouldn't want me to feel as bad as I did. And so it's tough, and you have to make the decision that I can't feel like that. And then you have to be willing to do the next thing and not think about all of it. It's just the next thing. And for me, the next thing might have been just making my bed, or, changing out of these pajamas that I've had on for like 14 days, because I feel so bad. And so, you just have to make the choice, and you have to just do it. Just got to do it.
Isn't that the case, though? It's not looking at the next 5 years. That's overwhelming. But to look at the next 5 minutes, right? What is the next right decision? What's the next good, healthy thing I can do for myself? It's to get out of the bed and change my clothes. It's to get a shower. It's to drink a glass of water. It's to make breakfast, whatever it is. Right? Doing those over time. And something to say, too, about grief, Andria, and help me out here, but it's not that you ever get over it. You don't get through it. We talk about these stages of grief, and yes, there are stages of grief, but I think it's something you carry with you for the rest of your life. You're never going to be done grieving the loss of your husband, Scott. You will learn to move forward and carry that with you. Correct?
Correct. Like sometimes I have those days where I'm just like, okay, I got this, we're good, I'm okay, everything is working out, and then all of a sudden I hear grief go, hold my beer. It just is like, oh, you think you're having a good day? Well, enjoy Tuesday, because Wednesday's coming, and then you just fall back into it. But once you've gotten out of the grief pit, you know that even though you fall back in it, there is a way out. Like, you have already had that experience that you've been out. And so now I don't get surprised or mad at myself for getting in my feelings or for just falling apart. And, certain things I've done now, because it's getting to the point now where if I'm in the grocery store, I don't go in the snack aisle anymore, because my husband loves Frito chili corn chips. And, there's only so many times you can stand in the chip aisle with a bag of corn chips and start crying. People think you're crazy. I just avoid the snack aisle altogether, and I just order it in. Chips. But it's stuff like that, and so you just have to give yourself just patience and grace, and you can do the next second. Like I one thing about it is I really had to stop thinking about the all of it. And just like when people lose something or whatever it is, whether it be your husband, a child, your job, a marriage, you can't think about the next all of it. Even if it's just taking the next breath, I just have to take the next breath, and then that'll clear your mind to say, okay, I guess I'll brush my, you know what I mean? And it's a step by step thing, and it's not all of it. And that's just what makes it bearable. But when you think about the bigness of everything ahead of you, that's when I would shut down, because it was too much.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, truly,
overwhelming.
If you were to do it that way, for sure. So, you founded Restored Widow, I mentioned when we started talking, and it's a group for other widows to be in a safe space to have their feelings, and to see that there is hope, that you can laugh again, you can actually be okay. It's not that time, when people say time heals all wounds, I hate that, because I don't agree with that. I don't think it's simply the passage of time, it's what you do with that time. And what you've done with that time is pour into other widows. Talk about how being in community with other people who've experienced a loss similar to yours, how that has helped you and these other people.
Well, I guess when you help somebody else, it takes the attention off of your feelings and your situation. And it's not a matter of you going, ooh, that didn't happen to me. I'm glad, you know what I mean? It's just, I need somebody who, if I say something, it doesn't sound inappropriate because they know what I'm going through and where it's coming from. It's not coming from an ugly place. Like one thing, sometimes widows that I talk to, when they see other couples, they get sad and it makes them angry because they don't have their relationship anymore. Mm-hmm. But you can't say that to your friend who still has her husband because now there's all this secondary conversation that's going on in her head about how your friendship is going to operate moving forward. But coming into Restored Widow or another group of widows who understand, you can say that and people understand what you're going through and where it's coming from. It's not coming from a place of anger towards your friend. It's just how it is. Seeing another couple makes me sad. You know, for me, it's seeing couples that argue that irritate me, and that's why I had to stop going to Costco, because I was like, these people don't make me crazy. Why are y'all arguing? They're
like, life is short.
And we're getting free food.
Yeah.
So I just had to stop going to Costco. And that's the thing. I just stopped doing things that just messed me up on my quote unquote journey or the healing process. And that's what you have to do. It gives you an opportunity to take control over how do you want to live your life moving forward. The worst thing that has happened to me already has happened. Now what?
Yes, I hear that. You know, you talk about your friend not liking to see other couples. When I was going through my divorce, I hated families. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hated all of you families with your stupid kids and you're holding hands with your partner.
Costco.
Oh my God, I just hated them all. I didn't have it in me to be happy for anybody else, and it was just this constant reminder of what I believed I had lost. Mm-hmm. You know, I lost my marriage. I didn't lose my kids, but it felt like my family unit was broken. So I really understand that and have had to do a lot of work on that myself. But we've put up the information for Restored Widow here on the screen. It's restoredwidow.com if you would like to find out more about Andria's group, and if you are a widow and you'd like to check out one of her brunches. Andria hosts brunches. They're a really safe space, and there's a lot of laughter, a lot of tears. I thank you so much for coming on the show. I just wanted you to share a little bit of your journey of healing, and which again, I think we're healing until the day we drop dead. I think that's a forever and ever process, don't you?
Yes, exactly. Because grief is coming with you no matter what you do.
It's coming with you.
You just got to be in charge of it.
Yeah. Make it your you-know-what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Sit down. Andria, thank you very much. We'll take a break. More Wake Up to Your Life right after this. Welcome back to the Wake Up to Your Life podcast. So glad you're here. Okay, here it's story time with Auntie Coco. Let me tell you a little story. So my son graduated from college recently, my son Alden, and from UNC Chapel Hill, and it was amazing. And I tell you the story because I was nervous about this day for a lot of reasons. I knew that I was going to have to see my ex-husband. My ex and I had a very contentious divorce. It took many years to get through it all, to work out all the details, and it was terrible. And I went into a deep depression. I've talked about that publicly before in keynote speeches and on the last version of this podcast. And I knew I was going to have to see him along with his fiance. And I was just feeling really nervous about it and really worried about it. And we have not historically we're not one of those couples where, you hear people say, oh, we do Christmas together and birthdays. That was not us. And I did not understand people who did that. I couldn't ever conceive of a world in which that would happen for me because I was so angry. So more on that in a second. But so we go to the graduation, and my ex had called me before that and said, hey, I just want to make sure there are not going to be any issues. I'm bringing her with me, and I was going to be bringing my fiance. I have a fiance now, so thank you. That's another podcast. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you very much, which helped me. So I knew that was going to be happening. So I haven't seen his fiance for many, many years. And go to the graduation. I keep telling myself, this is about your son. This is about Alden. Do not make this about you. Which in theory sounds like you should be able to do that, right? Anyone who's divorced, I know, and if you had a hard divorce, you know it's not always that easy. Like, just put the kids first. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't. At least I didn't always. It was just hard for me. So anyway, we get there, and I'm with Jeff, my fiance, and I see my ex-husband, Mariano, and his fiance, and I can tell they're nervous. And I walk right up to her, and I say, hell is freezing over, and I gave her a hug. And when I tell you, I was so angry at her and him for so many years, and so pissed off about the nature of the way they got together. It is what you think it is. And I couldn't let it go. And all I could do was stick to that story of, they wronged me, these people. Oh my God, I hate them. I hope they're not happy. Like really ugly, mean stuff that I would think about this man who I used to be in love with, right? But we had this moment, and I told her, it's all good. Don't worry about it. We proceeded to celebrate my son's graduation for the entire weekend. Jeff and I had dinner with my ex-husband and his girlfriend and my son. The next day, we go to the ceremony. We all sit together. We all have brunch together. We walk around the campus together. We go to a baseball game. I've been dying to tell somebody this story because I couldn't believe what was happening. My best friends are going, you have got to be kidding me. What is going on? And I have to tell you, I wasn't even acting. I wasn't just like gritting my teeth trying to get through this for my son. I didn't feel it. Any anger or resentment or bitterness that I held in my heart before was just gone. I didn't feel it. I saw them holding hands and being schmoopy and cute, and I was happy for them. Super weird. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense, right? What do you think when I tell you this, Carleen? Are you surprised to hear that I was that I was such a delight?
that you weren't just like getting through it.
I wasn't getting through it.
You were actually enjoying yourself.
I was. My ex-husband he's a really funny guy. Sure. He was telling stories and I was laughing, and it was like being with an old friend. So I tell you this story because it's about letting go of grudges. And if you're a grudge holder or you get really angry or you have a hard time with forgiveness, that's why I'm sharing the story with you, because I never thought that I could forgive them. I never thought that I would be okay being in their vicinity, yet I was. How did I get there? I think that you have to remember, underneath anger, there's usually something that you care about. There's usually grief because something you care about has been violated. And I used to hide behind the anger, like they're bad, I'm good. They did a bad thing, I'm the good one, simple, everyone needs to be on my side. I liked telling the story over and over and over again. How do you think that helped me move forward? You heard Andria earlier in the show talk about moving forward after loss. I couldn't accept what had happened. I didn't accept that they were in a relationship together, that we would no longer be married. And I was so pissed off about it. And just cozied up with that story. And I'd pour gasoline on that story, pour gasoline on that fire in the hopes of putting out the fire. How does that work? It doesn't. So I have actively worked to think about what that looks like. How do you forgive? How do you let go of grudges? I think you forgive piece by piece. Little by little, you start to forgive. I don't know how to forgive in one fell swoop. And you'll hear a lot of folks, a lot of times it's Christian people, people, in the church will tell you, well, Jesus has forgiven you, God's forgiven you, so you have to forgive. That never seemed to work for me. I hear it, and I might say, oh yeah, I forgive, but I didn't really forgive. Mm-hmm. I was still so angry and thought about every holiday when I didn't have my children because my kids were with them. I'd cry and be angry all over again and want to say terrible things and do terrible things, and which I didn't. I just kept them in my brain. Thank God I didn't do anything. I didn't break the law or anything, but thought about it from time to time. I was just so mad. But piece by piece. And so I started doing these mindfulness practices of what does my anger look like? What does that feel like in my body? And for me, it was like this big black, almost like an anvil sitting on my heart, sitting in my chest, made it hard to breathe, made it hard to do anything. And I would just sit with it and feel what it feels like and see if it had a shape. Does it have a color? Does it look like something? What if I could just, on an exhale, let go of a little bit? Can I soften its edges? And this is a practice that I would do over and over and over again. Over years. It didn't happen quickly. I do it over years. And I think that's why on graduation day very recently, in May, I was able to see them and just say, it's all good. Like, bring it in, give me a hug. clearly you're happy with each other, and I was happy. Now, it does help that I have a super smoking hot, handsome, sweet fiance.
Fiancé.
I do. I mean,
Yes.
how cute is he?
Cute.
Jeff is so cute.
Y'all are so
yeah.
cute.
He's the best. I mean,
Yes.
I love him so much. But I don't think I could have found him had I not been doing this work
Sure.
prior to that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, holding a grudge and forgiveness. I'll pop myself up. Are they same thing? Do they go hand in hand, or are they different? I feel like I'll just put
Please.
for example.
Yes.
My situation's not nearly as different as yours.
Yeah.
I was royally wronged by an ex.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm like, I let go, and I really don't care what he's doing. Do I necessarily forgive him? No. I don't. But I'm way past that. I'm in a happy relationship now, yeah, but do I necessarily forgive that person for, wronging me that way? No.
But you don't hold a grudge anymore. That's your point,
No.
right? You don't have I get what you're saying. Yeah. I do think they're different things. I mean, for me, it was all one big, ball of meanness and anger,
Sure.
hatred, and grudge holding. But I do think that, I do think they're separate things. However, I do think a lot of us are walking around holding grudges. Like you can recall the time that coworker wronged you, or your boss didn't do this for you, or that guy screwed you over, or a friend did you wrong, whatever it is, and you can recall the details of it and still be so pissed off. But it doesn't serve anybody. And I hate to be so cliche, but you know how they say, like, not forgiving is you're drinking poison expecting the other person to get sick.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't work. But for me, I always had a problem with the how. Okay, I get that, but how do you actually make it happen? How do you forgive? And the best thing I could come up with is that piece by piece you do, and that you start to put, because I think grudges hold you back too.
Yeah. Sure.
It's hard to move forward. So I did a lot of those kinds of practices, and like I said, being in love again and in a much healthier relationship that helped me. I mean, had Jeff not been with me at this graduation, I don't know that I could have gotten through it as swimmingly as I did. I don't know. I could have been nice for a while. I don't think I could have walked around the campus. I mean, when I say we spent hours together, hours. We spent the entire weekend together. At one point, Jeff and I are sitting in the back seat of my ex-husband's truck as he's driving us back to our hotel. So, I mean, it was, we were spending a lot of,
yeah.
It was so surreal. I couldn't even believe it. But as I mentioned, it was almost like I was with an old friend, and it felt like a really big moment. So, thank you. Thank you.
Good
It's
for you.
better for my kids, So, for any of you who are struggling to forgive somebody, and you just think this is, I'm not saying you have to forgive, right? Some things are too heinous to forgive.
Sure.
Truth. I mean,
Right.
Right, and I understand that. But if you'd like to, or you'd like it to not be so edgy and making you so angry. I mean, it was making me a miserable person. No one wanted to hear my story anymore. After 2 years, no one cares what happened. I mean, maybe, but I was, I liked to tell it. And it was just me having my big pity party, which did not allow me to be the best version of me. And what do I always say? That we need more of us living from the spot that's most beautiful and best in us. And we get there by tending to our own hearts. We get there by discovering what makes you tick, really getting to know yourself. Why am I angry all the time? Why am I pissed off? Why do I feel a little down in the dumps? Why do I feel so sad? Why do I feel so, why did she passed me in the hall and didn't say hi, and now I'm so angry, and now I'm spinning out in my head that this person doesn't like me. Why am I doing all these things? That's the stuff that we have to pay attention to and fix and heal. But I want you to know there is life on the other side, even when the worst thing has happened. That's why I had Andria come here. She lost her beloved husband of 30 years. Just like that. He dropped dead. She had not known life without him her entire adult life. She laughs. She's contributing to the world. She's kind to people around her. She's out helping others, taking care of herself. That's what's possible for all of us, but not until we deal with the stuff that's
Yeah.
on the inside.
That's tough to deal with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was really great to be able to have that.
I'm proud of you.
I
Good
get
for
the graduation. Thank you so
You
much.
got the rock, honey.
And I got the rock, baby. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous?
Look at it shiny.
It's beautiful.
It's stunning.
Everyone asked me if I picked it out. I did not.
You didn't?
No. Jeffy
You
Pooh
did such a
did.
good job.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I love him so much. Another episode, we'll talk about how I met him, because people ask that a lot.
Yeah. I want to know.
There's a story there too.
Okay.
There's a story there too. But thank you for listening to Wake Up to Your Life. If you have an idea of something that you'd like to see on the show or you'd like to be a guest, holla at your girl. Send me an email, shoot me a DM on Instagram. You can find me there, and I would love to connect with you. Thank you so much for watching. Tell a friend. Until next time, take care and wake up to your life.